Today we are talking about social media and the leadership. So the social media has already been discussed in the first part, has become a very powerful networking tool. It is interesting to consider its use in conjunction with the common leadership concepts. The social media provides the ability to quickly and easily share the goals and foster the development of leader-follower relationships. So considering the leadership through a lens of the social media immediately broadens the follower base. And as a leader share their vision, the content of the message can be spread throughout the world instantaneously. With such an extended reach, it becomes increasingly important for the leaders to be very mindful about the image they are portraying on the social media. And regardless of who has ultimate responsibility for the social media planning, it is very important that even if they do not know about the basic, the technology part, but they should be, as a leader, they must be well versed and they should be savvy about how the social media works and how, to navigate in terms of the interface of the social media also. It brings the transparency. It is easier to navigate. It is easier to project your norms. It is easier to project your policies, to make your brand, to devote time and energy for this task. So, because the leader will need to understand all these nuances to resonate what their customer wants, what their employees want. And many executives, they have started out tweeting and loud out about the blogs also with a very important passion within them, and only to find out to how to use the social media, how the companies are marketing, how the companies are spreading their word using the social media and become the global leaders. So another approach is to find out the young people in the organization as far as the family and who can provide the training and on the interesting platforms. So the executives not only need to be knowledgeable about the social media channels, but increasingly they should also have possessing the set of the skills also that allows them a very easy navigation in this fast changing world as far as the communication oriented environment is concerned. So the agility in interacting with a wider range of constituencies in the past. So the leaders who do this well are able to accurately identify the issues and the perspectives that are very central to the multiple audiences and apply them in the decision making. And they should have a good communication skill also. And gone are the days when the organizations control the information and the messages about themselves. So now the social media landscape is dynamic, fast changing, and the leaders have to be very comfortable operating in the environment in which they have little control on the frequency, frequently don't have all the information. The leaders must be able to frame the problems accurately, evaluate the ambiguities, tease out the priorities and anticipate the potential consequences. So the advancements, if you talk about in the social media, they come at a very, different pace, a very confusing pace, at a very fast pace. And it is sometimes becomes very difficult to understand this kind of design pace. So the executives, they need to push themselves to participate in these networks and the channels to make sure that their organizations, they stay connected, they stay relevant for their particular constituencies. So I would like to highlight here the social media problem. Although the social media is a very wonderful vehicle for connecting the leaders directly, indirectly with the customer base, with the employees of the organization and the media, its use by the business leaders has been very, the lacklustering. So the leaders such as, the CEO of Netflix and, they announce the company growth. And probably if you talk about the global leaders, the CEOs of the Fortune companies, not only, there are just 40% of them who are making use of the power of the social media, and probably they are not able to humanize the opportunity which is popping up from this social media platform. That means we actually need to work on the power which is being disseminated by the social media platform. And as the leaders of today and tomorrow and of the 21st century, we all have to understand that the social media is very, very powerful. And as a matter of fact, we must make use of these social media in order to penetrate into the market, in order to have a deep understanding of the customer base. We should have a deep understanding of the overall scenario also. So the leaders, they have to establish themselves as leaders, and they need to be very proactive in terms of using the power of the social media. And this kind of a lack of social engagement, has made a situation which is worse due to the response on the lack of one or social media, leading to a loss of the revenue also. And probably you can be in big problem also. So make use of the social media, understand its nuances, make frequent use of the social networking platforms like Twitters, etc., LinkedIn. So, if you're able to optimize on this, you'll be able to have a good humanization connect, and probably, using the social media more effectively can be, very good as far as the revenue generation is concerned. Although 89% of the executives, they use the social media, and many spend time also on these channels in a very haphazard way. So we need to be very organized, we need to be very tactical, we need to be very effective as far as the use of the social media is concerned. And it is thus not very helpful for an executive to good at a social media for the sake of it, but instead must be able to use these platforms to grow immensely, improve the organization's sales, revenue, overall reputation also of the organization. So leading this kind of a narrative on the right topics is also very, very important. Irrespective of the size of the organization, one of the best use cases of the social media is building familiarity around your expertise on a few relevant topics. For instance, if you are a part of the leadership of, say, any company using some good projects which is really helping in decarbonizing the economy, so often your small videos can be uploaded on the websites, on the social media platforms, and you should have a weekly update on the particular relevant topic, which is not going to make your company famous, but also you'll be able to gather the reactions of the people, how they are perceiving your company and your perspective. So a consistent conversation in this regard is really very, very helpful. So, like for example, the Mary Barra, the chairperson and the CEO of the General Motors, they regularly tweets her insights on the future of the auto industries, and stuff like this. So we can also make it a habit of focusing about how you are trying to move forward, how you are resolving the misconceptions of the people, how your useful insights, your useful analysis about the industry use, etc. So all these things are going to make you present in that perspective and make your organization live. You'll be able to collect the views, perspective, the overall people, what they think about you, their perception about your particular company. So, keep internal and external stakeholders informed is also possible strategy to become the global leaders, and probably the social media power you cannot undermine. So another important use of the social media as a leader is keeping the employees, investors, the media and the customers aware of the important corporate news. So the leadership isn't responsible for posting and tweeting about every update, as the organization account can really help handle that. However, it is the leader's duty to announce the major news, the address, the widespread issues, and share the highlights of the company's continued progress also. So whether you are sharing a 2-minute video on the LinkedIn about hiring of a key, staffer, or a posting on the Instagram about your latest acquisition, about ensuring the stakeholders they are aware of what is happening is very, very essential for their particular buy-in. So, for example, the CEO and the co-founder of LA West is very active on LinkedIn, and they share the news about any kind of new program which is being launched by your company. And being very transparent about your company's progress is very helpful in building the trust among the employees. So with the small updates, with the actual and the factual positions which is being updated very, very frequently on the social media, brings a kind of a trust among the people whom you are connected with, your customer base, your suppliers, even the exchequer of the country. So being transparent about everything, about a small step which the company is taking, or probably the corporate growth and the progress, is very helpful in building the trust among the employees. They feel this, yes, the organization is actually fulfilling the vision and the mission, and they are for the society, of the society, and by the society. So which can actually, be lead to a more productive and an engaged team. So the transparency all around, the trust factor all around is what matters a lot. This is going to have a spillover impact on the revenue generation, on pepping up and increasing the customer base in terms of increasing the sales level also. So, you need to reduce the impact of the company crisis also. So, the missteps happen at every organization, but some become much worse, deepening on how to handle after it happens. So whether an airline is grounded due to a technical issue or a company spokesperson make it more controversial statement. So it is very, very important for a leadership to quickly respond to the crisis and share how it will be resolved. For example, owing to COVID-19, there were a lot of issues cropping up in the companies. So we could see the frequent videos, updated by the particular corporate. And those updated videos really used to help resolving any kind of a misconception or what probably the company is going to take in the future. Are they going to kick out a lot of people, or retrenchment is all around, or probably they are going to change the model of the business and probably even engage more and more people and, completely change the paradigm shift from the offline to the digital mode of doing the business. So these important updates, especially in the time of crisis, they are really helpful, and the social media really helps in this regard. And they also help the use of the social media. They also help the corporates that how it will be resolved in the future also. So there are certainly different type of crises at the varying level of seriousness, but acknowledging the incident is usually the first step in most of the cases. So probably when the video comes of the corporate, the first and the foremost opening sentence is that we are all fighting with COVID-19, and there is a gloomy atmosphere all around. There are a number of deaths. The mortality rate is going up. And all kind of a factual position, and then connecting with your organization that how it is passing through this challenging phase and what particular steps the corporate is taking in order to defeat COVID-19. So, because all crises are at varying levels. You cannot have one level of seriousness or one level of a problem which is faced by the corporate. We are having an evolving different type of problems, and so the solutions, the updates, and the things like this can be uploaded on the social media, which is factual, and it is going to make an impact about the company also. So the CEO or another high-ranking leadership should address the problem in a very timely manner by taking the ownership that yes, we are responsible for this spread of COVID-19. We are meeting frequently. We're not following the COVID protocols. So the CEO or another high-ranking leader should address the problem in a very pertinent way, in a very timely manner, by taking the ownership of the situation and also apologizing for the issue and explaining what actions will be taken to correct the slip-ups, because slip-ups are bound to happen. But as a matter of fact, on a social media platform, if the company is owning that kind of a situation and also apologizing for the entire issue, it is going to be wonderful for the organization in building its image. The social media is a very effective tool for the leaders to handle any kind of a PR crisis, because they can quickly craft their own responses, reach a vast audience at a scale, and provide an opportunity for others to react to their post directly. So sometimes an issue only requires a quick exchange over Twitter, like how the CEO of the Salesforce, Mark Benioff, apologizes to a customer directly about the software being down for the entire day, or probably they are not able to service a particular service which was offered before COVID-19, so that you can apologize on the social media that our usual modus operandi is to provide this service, but owing to the COVID-19 and following the protocols, this particular service stands cancelled. So, being apologetic on a social media actually makes a lot of difference, and it actually makes a mark and builds the corporate image also. So in other cases, a video might be uploaded or a link to an apology letter is summarized in a post or a social media to address a very complicated and much more serious issue. So the position the organization has socially, conscious about it. A Quartz survey of almost more than 1,500 executives across the industries found out that differentiating their organization from the competitor is a key priority. To discuss themselves today, many organizations like Patagonia, Tom's, and Nike have publicly supported the social cause that aligns with their value system. According to Edelman's annual Trust Barometer survey, 76% of the respondents think CEO should take the lead on a societal changes instead of waiting for the government to do something. The leaders can use the social media to express their company's opinion on the relevant societal issues and sometimes share what action they plan to take. For example, Brian Chesky, the CEO of Airbnb, shared on Twitter how he and his co-founders still disagree with the US government travel ban. So, a kind of a debate, a kind of announcement, a kind of a policy update to be put on the company's website, on the social media platforms, and the company's value system into action beyond stating his stance on a particular issue is very important and should be embedded into the policy and the culture of the organization, because this is what will matter. And there's a strong connection between the social media and the leadership development in this regard. So whether the leadership is passionate about defending the privacy rights or advocates for anything else on a social media, their support for an issue must be genuine. They must be action-oriented and tied up to the company's value system. So let us now discuss a very important part of the lecture, that is the reasons executives should be active on a social media. So let us discuss these points one by one. The first is, they are natural influencers, then the impact the brand. Your organization CEO and the other executive leadership might not be innately, personable or engaging, but they are primed to be the influencers as they are already operating as the face of the company. Even if the leadership posts aren't garnering a lot of shares and the comments, they are making an impact by just being present on the social media. So when the leadership teams have this public visibility, it humanizes the executives, meaning your audience can see there are real people with the genuine insights leading the company. Oftentimes, there can be a distrust of the company leaders or a sense of cynicism. But when, XCs sound like themselves rather than the corporate drones, it creates more empathy for both them and the brand they represent. Simply being present on LinkedIn or a Twitter has its benefits, as evidenced by Hootsuite report that states that access on the social media and having a presence on the social media are perceived 23% more positively than the companies who do not have a social reach or the companies which are without the social presence. Plus, 43% of the executives with the socially active CEOs say their company's leaders are inspiring, compared with only 26% of those CEOs don't use the social media. So that means it is a substantial difference, and a CEO of the company must be socially very, very active. And combining the CEOs and the social media positively impacts the brand as a whole. 93% of the consumers believe that CEO engagement on the social media really helps communicate the corporate value system, shape a company's reputation, and grow the corporate leadership in times of the crisis. And furthermore, 76% of the senior executives believe that having a CEO on the social media gives the brand more credibility. Second, it improves the communication and provides a competitive advantage. The social media is all about two-way communication. So getting executives on the Twitter, on the LinkedIn, and the other networks isn't just about providing a platform for the leadership to share their thoughts. It's also about facilitating the connections and staying current. In fact, 73% of the CEOs on the social media say that one of the top benefits is using it to speak with the employees, and half of the consumers believe that their CEO who don't use the social media will fall out of the touch with the consumers. Plus, having executives on the social media gives employees, future hires, the current customers, prospective customers, investors, and others the opportunity to provide a feedback directly to those with the power to make the changes. So this kind of access encourages the transparency and builds the credibility. And it also allows the executives to learn how both the brands are viewed, what issues need to be addressed, and how they can improve the company. It also increases the consumer trust, which is very vital to a company's success. According to an American study, 86% of the Americans believe transparency from the business is more important than ever before, and a Webster Shankwik study found that 86% of the executives with a social CEO leading the company describes the CEO as open and honest. And that pays off. 77% of the customers prefer to make the purchases from the company where the executives are active on the social media. So you can see how magical it is to be on the social media and to become an open CEO. Now coming on to the third point, it makes them better leaders. Executives on the social media regularly engage with the employees and the customers. So it's not a surprise that a study of the development dimensions internationally concluded that socially active CEO ranked higher than the non-social leaders for the communication, networking, influence, decision-making, and empowering others. So employees see the value in the working of a CEO who is active on the social media as well. So 81% of them believe that socially active CEO are better equipped to lead the companies, and 80% of the employees say they would rather work for a CEO who engages with the people on the social media. And the executives want these kind of an online connections too. In fact, 73% of the CEOs say that one of the top benefits of using the social media is communicating with the employees. It inspires the employees to become advocates. So getting the CEO and other executives on the social media is especially important for the employee advocate the initiative. It expands a thought leadership also. So getting executives on the social media also benefits the C-suite themselves, because when they are active online, their ideas and opinions are easier to disseminate. And effective leader strategy is to lead effectively in the age of social media, and the learners need to develop and strengthen the 6 capabilities that build on one another. The companies with a critical mass of the leaders who masters these domains will outperform the laggards in their own field. That is, create compelling content, develop the distribution competencies, and assess and filter the information, drive the strategic social media use, design and enabling the organization infrastructure, and stay ahead of the curve. So all these matters a lot, and overall the company's social network, levered to, orchestrate this bottom-up initiative effectively across the boundaries, resulting in the creation of a full-fledged billion-dollar business. So overall we can say that the social media has got an immense power, which has to be clearly understood by the leader, effectively strategize to put it across the boundaries, which will result into a billion-dollar business.